Parashat Selach. In our parasha, there is maybe one of the most important psukim in terms of avodat, our own personal growth and our own personal development. Maybe one of the most critical psukim in the Tanakh, and I am not talking about the psukim of pasuk ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, and I am not talking about the pasuk Shema Yisrael. I'm not talking about this pasuk. Those words that are in this pasuk have tremendous implication to our lives, all of our lives, tremendous implications. You know what the pasuk is? No, we'll figure it out later. I'm not going to tell you now what it is. Cliffhanger. So in our parasha, we have the spies going in. And it's very interesting that we call them spies. But never mind, we call them spies. And they go with what they call the sons of the Nephilim, whatever those Nephilim were. And there's some kind of like a delusional effect that he had on them. And they saying that the pasuk is as follows: V'nihi be'einenu kechagavim, and we were, pay attention, in our eyes like grasshoppers, and we're not talking about grasshopper, they were like grasshoppers. Pay attention. We became in our eyes like grasshoppers. V'chen hayinu be'eineihem, and this is how we looked in their eyes. I mean, they were great people, but you feel like going like, what are you saying? What are you saying? You should know that we still are saying the same thing. Again, and we, with our eyes, to us, we seem like grasshoppers to them, and so we were to them like grasshoppers. And we can learn a lot about the state of mind of those meraglim, where they were. They basically see themselves as chagavim, as grasshoppers, which are small insects, and they are also have an ability to create a lot of damage. There's like from the locust family, they come and destroy. So you see, they start to feel bad about themselves, and not only that they have a negative description of themselves and what they do in terms of the mission to tour the land, but also comes, which is maybe even more devastating, they have conclusions, and they have their own conclusion to what the people of the land were thinking about them. They didn't take a survey. They didn't do a Gallup or Kodiak, whatever you call this, polling center. They didn't ask any of these things. They just had assumptions that in the eyes of the people, we also look like tiny and devastating and vicious like grasshoppers. They didn't bother to ask. And maybe if they would bother to ask, maybe the reality would have been different, right? So, according to them, and which is very interesting. You're saying grasshoppers. Grasshoppers. They're watching Kung Fu, David Carradine, Oh, grasshopper, right? Why didn't they say we were in their eyes like ants, or like mosquitoes, or like bugs, or like worms, or like camels, or a grasshopper? It's so bad. It's such a terrible description. And you might say that maybe, if you like so-called innocent, you might say that those people had some kind of like a Ruach HaKodesh, like divine inspiration, in which they could read the minds of the people. But No, that's not the case. What we could say is because they felt that they are like grasshoppers, therefore they assumed that that's what the other people look at them as like. I mean, we do know that when Balak and Bilam were sitting down together, that's not the image in which the people had of Bnei Israel. Their image was, they're going to lick us up, they're going to rip us out like a bull rips of grass, a grass blade. That's like a bull rips it. So this is how they view Bnei Israel. How wrong were the Meraglim, how wrong they were, because they had assumptions. They assumed that. By the way, that's what I keep telling you all the time. I assume that I get that based on this and this and that, I won't be able to get in. I tell you all the time, what are you, the acceptance committee? How do you know? Try. What are you assuming? It is such a negative state of mind to be, and we are in it still today. The biggest me'akev, the biggest delayer of redemption, of Geulah, of Am Yisrael, is that assumption. What would the Goyim say? What would this say? What they say. I'm speculating what they would say. And therefore because of that, don't do. What, you don't understand that? You thought you were going, right? You think the world is looking, I mean, they have their own things to worry about. Not everything is you. If you read the Perek, right? If you read the Perek according to the pshat of the things, very simple, straightforward, right? You would see exactly what happened over there. There were the spies, those 12 spies were sent on a recon mission to gather information, to gather intel behind enemy lines. And he sent the best troops for that. That's what the best units do. The best units don't do jump on the buildings and so on and so forth. Their mission is really, the top soldiers is to go behind enemy lines, collect intel, bring it back, and do whatever you need to do. So that's what that's what you're doing. So the Torah was telling us exactly the facts of such a reality, like of what happened. How long did this operation took? Who were the members of the team? Right? Team. It wasn't like SEAL team, Team SEAL 6. It was like Bnei Israel team, not so good. It wasn't the Delta Force. It wasn't the A Force, the A team. It was not so good. Anyway, but he gave us a description. They knew exactly how long they went, who took part of that, what was the course of that, where did they go, where did they travel, what kind of fruit they brought. It's a complete detail of what was going on, what fruit they brought in, what samples they brought in. And for that, all of a sudden comes the Meraglim, and they project some kind of a film or scenario where they are playing the image of the insects. They made up a whole movie. Again, that's what we all do. We don't really live our lives. We live a movie, a part in the movie. And in that movie, sometimes we are Rambos, and sometimes we are Rudolph Valentinos, and sometimes we Tom Cruise, and sometimes we, Dolly Parton. I don't know what we are. Every time we play a role, it's a movie that we're playing roles all the time. Endless movie that nobody is going to ever watch because it's so boring and so convoluted. Believe me. Wait until you get to Shamayim. They're going to show you the movie of your life. You're going to say, oh my goodness, that's a terrible movie. I've been doing what's going on here. Right? Where's Steven Spielberg when I need him? Right? So in that they played the role of like a miserable insects that they were. Of course, you see that's and as a result of that, they imagined that the enemies also saw the same movies. And as everybody's watching a movie, and therefore, since look, it's the deduction that they did. Since we are playing the role of the movie, and in this movie we are insects, therefore, most likely, the other people also viewed the same movie, and therefore they came to the same conclusion that we are small insects. How many times do we do that? How many times? And which is really a tremendous lesson that we could learn on the emotional and spiritual state of mind that we are at many, many times, which is in a way kind of comical, but it's also very tragic. It's a joke, but if it wasn't so tragic, you would laugh, but it's so tragic you cry. Until today, we pay for this miserable, role. They couldn't put in Bollywood. They would make a better movie than that. So let's look at exactly what's the problem. The problem is how we perceive reality. You see, things happen in the world. Things happen, and when things happen, they happen. How do you choose to interpret that? That's already your issue. When something happens, it's up to you to put the filter that would make it red or would make it blue, make it purple or will make it orange, make it good, make it bad. Things happen. It's not everything bad or everything good. The things that happen are nothing. It's your interpretation of it. And how do you interpret that? Argument's sake, let's say you want to do a trip cross country. You want to go cross country. You never had the to actually say, I'm going out, I'm doing the trip. When I go on retirement, you're 25 years old, but when I go on retirement, I'll do the trip. So guess what? They fire you. For whatever reason, there was absolutely beyond you, and now you sit down, you cry on the blanket, oh, you poor me. Say, you know what, instead of saying, hey, what the heck, let me go on my trip, I'll go on the trip. You go on the trip, you find your honey, you make a honeybee, and you'll be a honeybee, I'll be your, black shelter, and I don't know, whatever you want, right? There's a song like this, right? Honeybee, I don't know the song, but and because of the trip, you found the love of your life. Arguments, and is it good or is it bad? You go with this, you go with it. You ride the bull. You go with it. But that's the reality. That's what we do all the time. We prescribe a reality, and it's how do we interpret the reality that's what makes us miserable or happy. Now, and when you look at this, or experience a certain reality, when you're experiencing a certain reality, you really interpret that with a very specific and unique tools that you have. Therefore, you see more people that are optimistic or people are pessimistic because they choose to use those filters, those tools to interpret the reality the way it is, right? And according to that, you come to interpret what a certain reality does to me. What does it remind me? What do I feel? How do I react? What do I think about it? Blah blah blah, and so on and so forth. And sometimes, your own self-view, the way you view yourself, surfaces up in the way that you interpret your reality. People that are usually more optimistic don't feel so bad about themselves. They don't indulge in self-misery. Oh, poor me, I'm so miserable. I'm a weak person. I'm not smart. I'm not beautiful. I'm not this. I'm not that. I'm not that. It's you that is doing that. It's you that is doing that. So your self-image is also a collective of different experiences that you had throughout your life. Your self-image, the way you view yourself. That's why it's very important not to call your kids superlatives like idiot, moron, stupid, lazy, bum, whatever else you can think of, add on. It's important to encourage the child from a young age in positive reinforcement. So you build his image. You are building your child's image. Don't call your kid, what a moron you are, what an idiot this kid is. You're destroying him before he even started his life. Taking a kid and turn him into a ditz. And this is how your kid is going to interpret everything in his life. You call your kid a loser, this is how that's what he heard that he is. So therefore, everything he would do out of a loser, point of view. Even if he reaches something in his life, he'll never say, I'm really a loser. It's terrible. And even if you will call that throughout your lives, you should know that still is not an excuse. You have the ability to change that. Let's look at your life 1 second. Let's look at what you have achieved in your life. Let's look at what you accomplished in your life. And if I'll point out to you that you're not losers, most of you who think they are losers, right, would still say, oh, well, you're right, but yeah, I'm more comfortable being a loser. I don't want to be a winner. That is the problem. That is the problem. So your emotions is really, whatever the package of emotions that you got throughout your life really shapes you as a person. That's why it's important to have a loving house where love is and affection is on the table. It's not hidden in the bedrooms, under the sheets, behind the locked door. I'm not talking about, having it all out, like out there on the table, I'm talking about showing affection. The ability to say I love you to your wife in front of your kids. I think it's crucial. I don't think a lot of people have the guts to tell their wives in front of the children, to tell her that you love her. I don't think many people tell their wives that they love her besides when they want something. I think it's terrible. It's miserable. Think about this. How are you going to learn? How are you going to teach your kids to show emotions? Your kid doesn't know, so therefore he's going to watch a movie and he's going to get his ideas from a movie. That's why we get education from movies, not from parents. But it has to stop. It has to stop. And we can change it. So, throughout your life, through all these things, you'll come to a point in your life where there is a major decision for you to do, and you would not be able to interpret that in an objective matter. Everything will be subjective. And however, a recon person who goes behind enemy lines and gathers information cannot be subjective. He needs to be objective. Say the way things are. We don't need your interpretations. I don't need the baggage that you came from home and bring it to you to the battlefield. That's why there are very few people in those units. And those units, the people that are in units like Delta Force and Navy SEALs and Marine Recon and all these units are people who are basically very positive about themselves. And they're good people and they're happy people. I mean, that the government doesn't take care of them and they have to wait for hours and years and months to get, I don't know, whatever in the VA house, but that's a different tragic altogether. But this is the salt of the land. These are the best people this country has ever had. And they need to be objective. Execute the mission the way it needs to be executed without your political agenda. And there could be in the Navy SEALs, there could be people who are Democrats, there could be people who are Republican, there will be pro-guns, against guns. However, when it comes to do the job, all these being left to the side. I am a Navy SEAL. I am a Marine. I am a Jew. I don't need my subjective personal interpretation of that because that would affect what I need to execute. And therefore, that's what I keep telling you all the time. When you put superlatives to your name as a Jew, I am a modern Orthodox, I am an ultra-Orthodox, I am this kind of a Jew, I am that kind of a Jew. That takes away from the fact that you are a Jew. Because you're already being subjective. By saying that, you are rejecting everybody else. When somebody asks me what kind of Jew you are, I said, I'm a Jew. What kind? Shulchan Aruch Jew. What do you mean I'm a Jew? Shomer Torah u'mitzvot. I'm a Jew. Are you Sephardic? What do you care? What do you want? You want to know also my pen size? I mean, what difference does it make to you? So you could put me into your box so you could subjectively deal with me rather than to really see who I am. And that's the problem with shidduchim as well. The boxes in which you're going to put me, look at me first, see who I am. I think, by the way, the whole resume business of shidduchim is a horrible thing. Speak to the person on the phone. See who he is, see who she is. They have a conversation. And then maybe date one time. And after that, start checking. Shayach or no shayach. We like to reject people. Delete, reject, no. Like, who are you? You're a loser. And that's a loser mentality. That's an absolute loser mentality. Why? Because it doesn't come from a place of strength. It comes from a place of weakness. And then you have a very negative aspect on yourself. And then what do? You are puzzling other people. Why? Kol haposel bemumo posel. When you disqualify other people, you disqualify them with your wrong abilities that you have yourself, with your own wrong internal doing. Basically, when you say, for example, oh, this person is, I don't know what, is a thief, this one is not trustworthy, this one is this one is that. I'm not saying, and I told you this a million times, when you point on the person with your finger and say, he is, you're saying about yourself 3 times that. So you're basically talking about yourself. Instead of saying, he is a thief, you're saying, I am a thief. He's not trustworthy, I'm not trustworthy. Because otherwise, how do you come up with those things? And then Rashi explains, then you understand? So that's where we're coming from. However, in the parasha, that's the problem of the Meraglim. Now let's see. I told you it's a little bit long. Is this too long for you guys? Good. Are you having a good time? I'm happy. Anyway, this year is for my father Gedalia Moreno ben Matilda, and also all of you who helped the yeshiva. I want to take this opportunity and thank those people and those who want to help the yeshiva further in terms of you want to donate or anything or support or sponsor or anything. Please let us know. You can reach us at rabbigaon@gmail.com or go to our website yeshivaetzion.com and you can there's a link there for PayPal or whatever. Check us out. Great place. However, then there is another pasuk in this parasha. So that's the Meraglim. Then we have another pasuk. It's Parashat Tzitzit, right? And what does it say Parashat Tzitzit? Vaya lachem letzitzit ureitem oto. Hey, doctor, what are we talking about? Oh, let's ask the question: who is this oto thing, right? Because I have news for you. והיה לכם לציצית, וראיתם אותו, וזכרתם, and you should remember, את כל מצוות השם, ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטעו אחרי לבבכם, ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונים אחריהם. Right? Very important. אשר אתם, no, it's not important. What's more important, ולא תטעו. Does it remind you anything from this parasha, where the Meraglim went to לטור את הארץ? לטור את הארץ, ולא תטורו ציצית, ולא תטורו את הארץ. Okay? Rashi explains this pasuk, ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם, כמו מיטור הארץ, like going to the land. הלב והעיניים, the heart and the eyes, הם המרגלים לגוף. These are the spies of the heart. ומסרסים לו את העבירות, and they arrange for him the pimping out עבירות for the person. העין רואה, the eye sees, והלב חומד, and the heart desires, והגוף עושה את העבירות, and the body does the עבירה. You see? It wasn't my idea, it was Rashi's idea. ולא תטורו, תטורו. So according to this pirush that Rashi gives this pasuk, there is a lack of belief, choser emunah, that we don't really trust the body and our senses to do the right thing. There is a certain inclination of the body that if we're going to let it go, to our senses, if we're going to be indulged in our senses, our feelings, and so on and so forth, and our desires, that is actually going to harm the personality of the person and himself, the person himself. So when you read it like this, you might say, so guys, so it's very simple. So let's be very, very, like fakirs in India. How do you call this? Like very stringent, super stringent. Okay? So let's not have anything that tastes good. Let's not do anything, let's not have any desires. Let's not have any sensation. Instead of eating, I'll put salt. Instead of drinking water, I'll drink vinegar. So I don't have any desires. Right? Are you allowed to be with your wife? Yes. No. Once a year, something like that. Not desires. There's a song of this. I don't like that song. Don't sing it. Right? So, anyway, this kind of a line, and there are many groups among us, many sects among us, that actually promote this kind of lifestyle that really rejects life and pleasure from life. Who said you're not allowed to pleasure of life? You're allowed to, with a bracha, with the right measure. You're allowed to. And there are two voices that speak in our sources, which everybody represents a different life outlook, a different way to look at life, which are completely different. One is really open up to life and is very happy about life and is very positive about life, and the other one may be a little bit more reluctant to engage with life. The Gemara in Eruvin in Daf Yud Gimel says the following: Shtei shanim, open, one time, real quick. Shtei shanim, 2 years and a half, there was a machloket of Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel. Halalu omrim, noach lo la'adam shelo nivra yoter meshen nivra. Bet Shammai says, better off you weren't born than you were born. Vehillel omrim, noach lo la'adam shenivra yoter masher lo nivra. Better he was created than he wasn't created. Look at the Gemara in Eruvin, Daf Yud Gimel. Amud Bet. Bet Shammai holds, that looks good. Bet Shammai holds that it's better for the person that it wasn't created, and dismissing and pushing away really the value of life and the essence of life. Right? Bet Hillel holds that it's better for him. You want to open it all at once? So, okay, good. Bet Hillel holds that it's better that he was created, and therefore obligate him to life, and they see a meaning in this life itself. Let's add on another machloket to that. It says in Masechet Beit Zayin, Daf Tet Zayin, Amru alav al Shammai hazaken. They say on Shammai the elder, Kol yamav haya ochel lichvot Shabbat. Every time he ate, it was lichvot Shabbat. Matzah be'ema na'ah. You find a nice animal in the market, a nice piece of meat in the market. Zul Shabbat. That's for Shabbat. Matzah acheret na'ah himena. You find a better piece than that. Maniach hashniya v'ochel harishona. Puts the last one for Shabbat and eats the first one. Aval Hillel hazaken, Hillel the elder, midah acheret hayta lo. He had a different quality, which is, listen, I'm not here, God forbid, I'm not at this level, I'll never be at the level of these people like that. But we're trying to see how does it relate to us. And I'm reading the Gemara. Midah achat hayta lo, he had a different quality. Shekol ma'asav l'shem shamayim. As it says in Sefer Tehillim, in Psalms 68, Baruch Hashem, Yom Yom. Thank God. Every day. The Gemara says, Tanya nami achi. Bet Shammai omrim, Michat shavich ele shavtech. From Sunday to Shabbat. Ubet Hillel omrim, Baruch Hashem, Yom Yom. Bet Shammai that see this life as something that it's maybe meaningless, put the essence of life on Shabbat. Sometimes, I'll tell you the truth, actually most of the time, I'm more like Bet Shammai sometimes. I can't tell you, I love Shabbat, But, I'm not saying, nobody's perfect. I don't have a problem saying that. And they see the essence of everything of Shabbat. And for them, the Shabbat is what they say, Chachamim says, Shabbat is like Olam Haba. It's like Olam Haba. Or in the shape of Olam Haba, but in this world. right? So therefore, in this world itself does not have any place. The days of the week are just an instrument, just a way to get or to be prepared for this for the Kabbalah of Shabbat, which is the purpose. Life also is to them is a means to get to the goal, and the goal is basically to eventually to die and to get to Olam Haba. Not that you're going to kill yourself, but that's what brings us to Olam Haba. However, Bet Hillel on the other side sees the efforts, the life of this world as the main reason why we're here, and also make a bracha on every day of the week, not only on Shabbat. Baruch Hashem, Yom, every day is blessed, not only Shabbat. Because what do we say? Vayivarech oto. What do we say in Kiddush Shabbat? Yom HaShishi, Vayichulu HaShamayim, right? What do we say after that? Come on, guys. Vayevarech Elokim, right? And HaKadosh Baruch Hu blessed that. So bless that. So, but Hillel says, yes, every day is blessed with Hashem. Not only Shabbat. Every day, Baruch Hashem, Yom. And this is a tremendous way to look at it. Let's look at another difference between Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel on that. It says, V'chol ma'asecha yu l'shem shamayim. That's just like Hillel. Everything you do should be geared lichvot shamayim, right? So it says, K'shehaya Hillel yotze mimakom, yotze lemakom, when he used to go to a place, hayu omrim lo, le'echan ata olech, where are you going? So he said, La'asot mitzvah ani olech, I'm going to do a mitzvah. And then they ask him, Ma mitzvah Hillel? Eze mitzvah are you doing? Levet hakiseh ani olech, I'm going to the bathroom. What? Then they ask him, V'chi mitzvah izu? This is a mitzvah? Omer lahem, hen. Yes, בשביל שלא יתקלקל הגוף, so the body won't get ruined. Yes, and how many times have I told you that? Don't say I didn't tell you. I tell you this, right? I told you that. I did tell you that. Right? So therefore it says, okay, היכן אתה הולך הלל? הלל, where are you going? לעשות מצווה אני הולך. Okay, מה המצווה הלל? לבית המרחץ אני הולך. To take a shower. מה, וכי מרחץ מצווה היא? To take a shower is a mitzvah. The Rambam didn't count it as a mitzvot. אמר להם, הן, בשביל לנקות את הגוף, to clean the body. תדע לך שהוא כן, מהו אם או קינות העומדות בפלליות של מלכים, הממונה עליהם להיות שפן וממרקר, המלכות מעלה לו סלרה בכל שנה ושנה, ולא עוד, אלא שהוא מתגדל עם גדולי המלכות. אנו, שנבראנו בצלם ודמות שנאמר כי בצלם אלוקים עשה את האדם על אחת כמה וכמה. If you were standing in a king's palace and there's all the statues and all the pillars and all this thing, you clean it, you do extra job to clean it, so every year they give you a bonus, right? So even here, we were created b'tzelem Elokim, isn't so that we have to take care of our body and we should not stink and we should be clean all the time? It's okay to take a bath. It's okay to take a hot bath. Put deodorant, smell good, lama lo. Celebrate life with the right in mind, with the Torah in mind. Not lichvotcha, not for your honor, lichvot shamayim. If you were an ambassador, you would not wear ripped jeans and and wife beaters when you go out to a cocktail party with all the, you're going to wear a tuxedo, something special, and so on. We are ambassadors of the Torah and the Kadosh Baruch Hu. We have to act appropriately. That's why we can yell and we can scream and we can curse and we are representative. So therefore, שמאי לא היה אומר כך, אלא יעשה חובתנו עם הגוף הזה. Okay, I need to do what I need to do because that's my obligation. My body needs to go to the bathroom, so I go to the bathroom. If it was up to me, I wouldn't go. Okay? Look in it's a very nice. It's another thing, by the way, that nobody reads is Avot de Rabbi Natan. I love it. Although it's in the back of the Zara. Read Avot of Rabbi Natan. It's very nice. So for Hillel, let me see. Are we almost there? So for Hillel, Tchelet, Ha'adam, the person, is tachlit, is the purpose. For Bet Hillel, man is the purpose. Why? Because he was created in the image of God. For Bet Shammai, we could say that man is a vehicle to get us the target or to the goal, and the goal is Avodat Elokim, to worship Hashem. However, you should know that without having a moral and a spiritual spine, backbone, without paying attention to the positive, paying attention to life, naturally our interpretation always is going to go to the worse, to the bad, to the scary. You don't believe me? Look at your news on the radio. It's bad, it's terrible, and we're always looking for the worst. By the way, last week everybody was petrified out of Britain. The stock market went down, gold went up. A day later, everything was okay. But now, we all forgot about Britain. Now we're talking about terrorists. Whoa! Yes, it's a terrible thing they did, but that's okay. That's already happened. How are we going to continue? Now we are tightened security for 4th of July. So now, between now and 4th of July, people are going to be petrified. They're not going to go in subways. No be'emet. I want, like, in the newscast, like 1 minute, 60 seconds of something positive. Not only bad. But this is what we do. We become negative. Because and the reason why we become negative, because we don't have a moral and a virtual backbone. We don't have that. And that's why the Torah is here. They're always going to do things of not to do. You're going to die from cholesterol. Today I read a researcher from Israel. She says, not every fat person is sick, and not every skinny person is healthy. It's more what you eat, not how you look. Everything is scary, terrible. You're going to die. That way I know I'm going to die. Since the day I was born, I'm going to die. Or in one direction. But everything is like that. The tzitzit, wearing tzitzit, comes a person to be able to look inside into your values, which is very important, and into your true identity. And what does it mean? Amar Rav Chizkiah, veyesh amru b'shem Rabbi Meir. The some said in the name of Rabbi Meir. Tchelet doma layam. Tchelet, those blue strings, looks like the ocean. Veyam dome le'asavim. And the ocean is not really blue; it's kind of greenish, like grass. Ve'asavim domim le'ilanot. And trees, and grasses look like trees. Ve'ilanot la'rakia. And trees look like the sky. Ve'rakia le'noga. To the sparkle of the sky. Ve'noga la'keshet. And noga looks like keshet. I'm not talking to the Kabbalistic. I was about to say something about that. I said, no, I'll leave it for some other time. Right? Ve'noga la'keshet. Ve'keshet le'dmut. To whatever. Because it says, שנאמר, כמראה הקשת אשר יהיה בענן ביום הגשם, כמראה הנוגה סביב ומראה דמות כבוד השם. That's in Yecheskel. He gives us a true description about what exactly that is. He basically sees a certain white color with all like a rainbow all around it. And I'm not talking about the gay parade rainbow colors. We're not talking about that. Just to make it clear. Chas v'shalom. Right? And that's the color of what we have there. Amar Rabbi Chizkiah, bezman she'Israel mitkasim betzitzit, when Am Israel puts tzitzit on, whether it's talit katan, which is very important to fix your inner light, your opening me, and talit gadol, listen all Ashkenazim, talit gadol, for the or mekif, she'Am Israel mitkasim betzitzit, לא יהיו סבורים שמתחלת הם לובשים. They're not going to think that they're wearing תחלת, אלא, but rather, כך יהיו ישראל מסתכלים בציצית, כאילו הדר שכינה עליהן. It's like the Shekhinah is on your tzitzit. That's why Maran Bet Yosef says you hold your 2 strings, not 4, 2 strings, which 5 knots remind you of the 5 times 2, reminds you of the 10 sferot of the spiritual world. Because it says, Ureitem Oto. Now you see that the Oto, you should say Vereitem Otam. You should say Vereitem Otam. It says Vereitem Oto. It says, that's in Midrash Tehillim, by the way, this is in Midrash Tehillim, Mizmor Tzaddik. It says, Oto lo ne'emar, it says Oto to whom? Lakadosh Baruch Hu have ve'haderech al bneihem. It says, when it says Ureitem Oto, when you look at the tzitzit, you remember HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Not the string of the tzitzit of the tchelet. Don't go after what the eyes tells you. Remember HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shehu noten lecha koach. He gives you the power. He's with you. That you need to remember this all the time. That's why tzitzit is very important. To remind yourself, because we have a blemish in ourselves. And to remind yourself what this is all about. Tzitzit helps you do that. All the time. Without the tzitzit, the body and our senses they get lost. They get lost. Because there's no beacon to guide them to go through. Slowly, slowly, they would divert you off the derech. Off the derech. With the tzitzit, Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, or Rabbi Akiva, or Rabban Gamliel could see beautiful statues of Aphrodite. There's a famous story of Rabban Gamliel. They went to the bathhouse of Aphrodite. She was the goddess of beauty and fertility in Rome and in Greece. So I asked him, how are you doing here? He said, I'm taking a shower. Because they were very careful in that. So when you wear tzitzit, you can look at the world, and the world would not have an effect on you to distract you from who you are. That's why it's important to be connected to your tzitzit. It's important to make your own tzitzit. It's yours. Rabotai, tzitzit is the only authentic Jewish garment that we have. We lost it all. There's nothing more Jewish than tzitzit. Nothing more Jewish than that. Nothing that we wear is authentically Jewish besides tzitzit. That's the only thing. You're talking about kippah? The Pope wears a kippah. Like the conservatives, he has white or red, like the ones we put in the shul. They probably gave him one of those and put it in the shul on the head. Right? So therefore, a person knows that without the tzitzit, a person would get lost. And a person that knows that he has a backbone is not afraid to celebrate life, because he knows that he is in balance. He knows, yes, you have to learn, you have to know the boundaries, but there's no reason not to enjoy life. But you need also something to guard you, and that's your tzitzit. The whole inyan of Parashat Meraglim was not for anything but just to teach us that. You have to be very, very careful when it comes to mitzvah tzitzit. You have to be very careful when it comes to your Jewish identity. You have to be very careful when you you need to become more positive about life, more positive about yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Don't put yourself down. Don't assume things that nobody even thought about it. He assumed, he thought, she said. Don't do this. This is negativity. All those things will take you away from your promised land. Shabbat Shalom.